Hello and welcome to another Monday devotion. If you didn't have a chance to watch last week, Cam and I are doing something a little bit more relaxed at the moment as the winter months are coming in. It's a little bit harder to record outside, but we thought it'd be good to have a nice relaxed environment where we can sit and have a cup of tea and invite you to do the very same. So if you're at your computer, feel free just to pause, go away, make a cup of tea, come back and just relax with us as we are talking faith today and just talking a little bit about God in our lives.
And one little thing before we kind of delve any deeper to maybe give you a heads up about is 242 Live, which is coming up this Sunday evening. It's an all-age service. Everyone is welcome to come along. But it's been put together in part by a number of our young people who've been integral to the preparation process, maybe via filming or readings or that kind of thing. So they won't necessarily be up front, or they won't be up front during the actual service itself, but they have been part of the preparation process for it. Great night, just an hour long of worship and reflection, obviously under kind of appropriate social distancing regulations. If you'd like to come along to that, you just need to pop along to our website, kpc.church, and you can book yourself in via Eventbrite there. There's an Eventbrite link at the top of the church website. Click that, head along, and make sure that you book yourself a space for a fantastic night. It'll be at Killermont, it's in the church. Downstairs, I guess, for us, 7:30 till round about 8:30. Please do come along. It's going to be a great night.
Yeah, it'll be very good just to see you there. Cam, I just wanted to ask you, just as we've been doing last week and this week, just discussing faith together. What's been on your mind recently?
Yeah, one of the things that's been on my mind a little bit, it comes from actually maybe a week or so ago, just over a week ago. I was over in Skye for just a couple of days, having a little bit of a break, and got incredibly lucky while I was there, both glorious sunshine and not a single midgie to be found, which I think is quite a rarity for Skye, so I'll take it.
It's medical.
Can't complain about that one. But while I was there, we were kind of going about and doing some walks, some fantastic walks to be found around Skye, and one of them that we went on was a very kind of well-known walk, which is the Old Man of Storr. It's iconic. You've almost certainly seen pictures of it, even if you didn't realise that's what it was, but it's like this kind of dramatic cliff face, and then there's a break, and then there's this really big sort of standing stone. It's not really standing stone, it's like a big kind of sheer of rock that's almost that's independent and standing on its own. It's not far outside of Portree. Fantastic walk, very dramatic scenery. But when I got to kind of most of the way up, when you're up kind of right at the kind of cliff face, right in front of this this big kind of rock formation, there's a sign that you can find, which everyone at home will be able to see a little image of. And it says on this sign, it says, "You are advised to go beyond this point." Now, I think once in the sign's history, it had said, "You're not advised to go beyond this point." But many people over the years have put little stickers and kind of completely covered up that word "not" to advise people to go onwards. And what leads beyond is this really dramatic walk that goes in between the cliff face and the Old Man of Storr. It's this kind of dramatic weaving with these really big like cliffs looming on either side. It's quite remarkable. I can understand why maybe advised not to, as there is a little bit of a danger of rockfall and all the rest of it going on around there, but it is fantastic, and I can also understand why people have encouraged others to continue on the walk and experience what is further ahead on the path.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a lovely thing even to see. I've never been up that way of things, but I'm sure I'll watch this and be able to see some of the pictures that you show. And I would always be encouraged by like these sort of lovely sceneries that come through nature. And I'm sure people who have walked that way have been encouraged just by what they've seen, even if it is a little bit dangerous, to be perfectly honest. What stood out to you spiritually from that journey as you were going there?
Well, I was kind of reflecting over that notion, you're advised to go beyond this point. And it really kind of stuck and resonated in my mind a little bit, because for me, I think there are moments in faith that are just like that. Moments where you're faced with a choice, a decision, where you maybe feel the prompting of God to do one thing, but you're not sure if it's the right thing to do. Like those kind of diving into the pool moments, those taking that dramatic step of faith. And it can be in really big life-changing decisions. It can also be in the simple ones of just going and talking to someone that you know God's kind of prompting you to say some kind words to, but you are feeling a bit cautious of actually doing it. It's everything in that scale, those moments in life where we're very obviously faced with a choice. But what do we do? What do we do? Those choices of faith that we know God is prompting us onto something, but we're indecisive about what to do in them. And I would say that God beckons us onwards into that next and that new thing.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's very easy for everyone who's watching and for me to resonate with, because we've all had those moments, big or small, as you said, where we felt kind of pushed to do something a little bit more. It may have been something big, something small, it could have been in our workplace or at home, but at the end of the day, it was something that we definitely worried over or maybe stressed over. But the sort of question that you sort of brought at the end, you know, what do we do? What do we do from that? What do we do going forward?
Well, I mean, there's a number of verses throughout Scripture that talk about that very notion of stepping out in faith. One that's always stuck with me is in the beginning of Joshua, where it says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And I think it's that call to boldness in those moments where, to be honest, the safer thing to do might be to just shy away from whatever we feel prompted or pushed towards, whatever the Spirit of God is beckoning us onto. It might be easier to step back, but actually we need to remember that God is with us, that God calls us and moves us and shapes us and is beckoning us on to the next thing. And I know, at least in my experience in life, it's those dramatic moments, those ones where I've been really willing to go all in, that I have most powerfully seen God at work. Like over the years, big and small, from little conversations that I felt prompted towards but didn't think much would come of, but yet actually reflecting back, they were really significant, not just for me, but also for the person I was speaking with, to the more grandiose, like back when I was a teenager and I felt God calling me towards working in Bolivia, and then ended up finding myself out there working for a year with a kind of church and school project. There have been these numerous moments in my life where I look back and I realise there was a choice ahead of me. The Spirit was calling me one way, my internal self was maybe trying to pull me another, but I'm very grateful for the times when I have taken that step and that walk. And I think that little sign actually is a nice picture of that. There will be those who will beckon us on the safer path, who maybe don't want to see faith or the gospel as furthered as it can be or as it is, and are more reluctant towards that. For them, the words really are, you are not advised to go beyond this point. But then there are others who have maybe already walked that path, seen those sights, had an idea of what is to come, and they're the ones who have maybe come back, put on the stickers to cover up that word not, and beckon us onwards to what might be and what could be. So I'd encourage you to think about that and to listen to that voice of the Spirit who calls us on.
It's very encouraging, especially to hear a little bit of your story about how God pushed you a little bit, but then it continued to grow and develop, and then when you look back, you're able to see, wow, God's moved in my life so much over maybe quite a short period of time, but just because I made that small decision at first. It's a challenge to us when we try to make decisions for God spiritually in our life. Do we do it? Well, look and see the encouragement from you, from Joshua as he went into the promised land. There's so much encouragement we can get from Scripture and from each other. So maybe that's something to reflect over the next period of time. We thank you for stopping with us to talk faith together. Hopefully you've managed to grow and develop through some of what Callum said. And just if you take that and just reflect over the next week, maybe thinking, is there opportunities for you to step forward in your faith in little ways or big? And hopefully God works through you this week.